Hello, students. This lesson is about paragraph structure, identifying the important components of a paragraph, such as the topic, main idea, supporting details, and conclusion. So first of all, what is a paragraph? A paragraph is a group of sentences about one topic. Paragraphs contain a main idea sentence, which is a claim that the writer makes about the topic. I just want to say there is an exception to this, that sometimes there are paragraphs that don't have a main idea sentence, and those are called implied main ideas, but we're not going to talk about that in this lesson. So in this lesson, you can just assume that the paragraph will contain a main idea sentence. Paragraphs contain supporting detail sentences that strengthen the writer's claim about the topic. And paragraphs often contain a conclusion that restates the main idea. So we're going to start with identifying the topic. The topic of a paragraph is a general word or several words describing what the paragraph is about. The topic is usually just a few words, never a whole sentence. You usually see the topic words repeated throughout the paragraph, and that can help you with identifying the topic. If you look for words that are repeated again and again in almost every sentence of the paragraph. So now we're going to look at an example. Push pause on the video and read this paragraph and see if you can identify the topic. Okay, now we're going to look at the answer. The topic is books versus movies. Now, how do we know that? Because the whole paragraph is talking about books or movies, and it's talking about why you should, read a book rather than watch a movie. All throughout the paragraph, it's comparing the book to the movie all the way to the very end. So that is our topic, books versus movies. Now let's talk about the main idea. What is the main idea? The main idea is the claim that the writer makes about the topic. So the writer is going to claim something that they believe is true about the topic. The main idea is a complete sentence that states the writer's main message to the audience, to the reader, to the person who is reading the paragraph. So when you're looking for the main idea, you're going to be looking for a complete sentence, not just a few words like you did with the topic. You usually see the main idea at the beginning or at the end of a paragraph. Now, this is another one of those, there's a lot of exceptions to this. Sometimes there will be the main idea in the middle of the paragraph. It really depends. But for this lesson, you'll be looking at the beginning, and then sometimes you'll see that at the end there's another sentence that's very similar to the main idea, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. So now, push pause on your computer again, read this paragraph, and identify which sentence contains the main idea. And now let's look at the answer. So here, the main idea is the first sentence. This is what the writer is claiming to be true. Next, let's look at supporting details. The supporting detail sentences provide facts, details, statistics, numbers, reasons, or examples, etc., that function to support the main idea of the writer. So it's important to realize that if you are looking at a sentence that has examples or reasons for why something is true, then you're probably looking at supporting detail sentences. Supporting details are more specific than the main idea. So if you were to compare supporting detail sentences with the main idea sentence, you would see that the main idea sentence is more general and the supporting detail sentences are more specific. You usually see the supporting details in the middle of the paragraph. It's also important to know what kind of words are used to signal supporting details. At the beginning of supporting detail sentences, you might see things like to begin with or first. You could also see things like in addition or furthermore, or another, such as another reason, or last. These are sort of an attempt to organize the supporting detail sentences in some kind of structure or order in the middle of the paragraph. And if the writer is giving examples, you might see things like for example, for instance, including, and such as. These are different ways to talk about examples that are being given. And if the writer is writing about their reasons for something, they might say because, I believe this because, and then they give their reason, or for this reason, and so forth. So these are words that could signal that you're looking at supporting details. So now, look at this paragraph again and identify which sentences in this paragraph strengthen the writer's claim. Now we know that the writer's claim is, it is better for you to read a book than to watch a movie. So which sentences contain facts, details, reasons, examples, and so forth that show that this claim here is true? The writer will use supporting details to show that what they believe is true, to convince the reader. So push pause, read this paragraph again, and identify the sentences that contain supporting details. So here is the answer. So as you can see, the supporting detail sentences are colored. I grouped them into 3 groups. There's the color blue, the color green, and the color red. Now I grouped them because each of these are 2 sentences talking about the same thing. This sentence says, one reason is that books have many details that movies must leave out. And the next sentence is still about that. It's still about the books having more information. So you usually watch a movie in a few hours, but it generally takes much longer to read a book because it will contain a lot more information. So these 2 sentences go together to support the main idea together. The next supporting detail has 2 more sentences that go together about using, the first sentence says about using your imagination, and then this second sentence says it's beneficial because then you're participating in the learning and so forth. So these 2 sentences go together as another important support. And then this one, these 2 sentences, it says lastly because it's the last supporting detail, not because it's the end of the paragraph, but because it's out of these. Here we have one reason, we have here another, and then we have lastly. We use this to say, and here's my last reason. And then these 2 sentences go together too. Here it says that books are portable, and then it says all you need is enough light and you can instantly be transported. So you can see that these 2 sentences it's the last supporting detail that the writer gives. And now let's look at the conclusion. What is the conclusion? The conclusion sums up the paragraph by restating the main idea in different words. So you're going to find the main idea again at the end of the paragraph, but this time we're going to call it a conclusion. Now the main idea at the end of the paragraph should not look exactly like the main idea at the beginning. They're going to be different, but they're going to have the same basic message. The conclusion is more general, like the main idea, and does not contain details, examples, etc. It should be general, and it should be very similar to the main idea. You will likely see the conclusion at the very end of the paragraph. It's usually the last sentence. And here it is. The conclusion is the last sentence. Now this gives it away because it says in conclusion. It's a way to show that now the writer is going to repeat their general idea that they said at the beginning of the paragraph. They could also say in summary or in sum or to wrap it up. They don't even have to put anything at all. They could just simply write their last sentence that will be a general sentence that repeats the main idea in different words.